Welcome to the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences ceremony for the class of 2020 and the class of 2021 at Fordham University. We extend a special welcome to those joining us virtually. The start of the annual academic procession has begun with the traditional ringing of the Victory Bell. The bell was presented to Fordham University by Admiral Chester Nimitz as a memorial to the Fordham alumni who died fighting for their country during World War II. The ship's bell is from the aircraft carrier Juno, which served in the Pacific before it was silenced by an aerial bomb at Saipan. The bell was first rung at Fordham by President Harry S. Truman on the occasion of his receiving an honorary doctor in 1946. Leading today's academic procession is Dr. Keith Cruz, professor and director of clinical training in the Department of Psychology. Dr. Cruz is carrying the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences Verge. Ryan Sullivan, president of the Graduate Student Association and a doctoral candidate in history, is carrying the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences banner. Next in the procession are candidates for degrees from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, which welcomed its first students to Fordham in 1916. Doctor of Philosophy candidates are wearing a custom Fordham academic robe with a blue velvet border hood. Candidates for the degree of Master of Arts are wearing black robes and hoods with a white velvet border. Master of Science degree candidates are wearing hoods with a gold velvet border. Next in the procession are members of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences and the administration of Fordham University. At the end of the procession are the Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Tyler Stovall, and the university's president, the Reverend Joseph M. McShane of the Society of Jesus. And now, please welcome the Associate Professor of History and the Director of the Center for Medieval Studies, Dr. Nicholas Paul, to begin the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences ceremony.
Please be seated. On this, the 19th day of September, in the year of our Lord 2021, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this diploma ceremony. On behalf of the President, the Dean, and the faculty, as well as the entire Fordham community, I welcome you, graduates, family members, and friends, to this special celebration. I would now like to welcome Fordham's President, the Reverend Joseph M. McShane of the Society of Jesus, to deliver his remarks.
Good afternoon. It's a glorious day, and I have to say, The people on the left got the better deal. They will be cool. Dr. Jacobs, Dean Stovall, members of the faculty, staff, and administration, members of the families of the graduates whom we are sending out into the world today, and members of the glorious and time-tested classes of 2020 and 2021 from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. At the outset, I would like to thank the members of the faculty who have made the accomplishments and success of our graduates possible. They have cared for, nurtured, challenged, and encouraged our students with great devotion. As a result, they have prepared our graduates for lives filled with meaning and effectiveness. I would also like to acknowledge the families of our graduates. My dear friends, on behalf of the whole university, I would like to thank you for sharing the members of your family with us. They have inspired us and filled our lives with great joy every day of the time that they have spent with us at Fordham. We are all in your debt, a debt that I am happy to acknowledge this afternoon and to do so publicly. I want to remind the members of the family that you too are members of the Fordham family. You're not members by degrees, but rather by love. Therefore, please free to come back often, stay long. Tell us stories especially about how our graduates are doing down the line. Now, members of the graduating classes of 2020 and 2021, my dear friends, let me begin by saying from my heart that you amaze me, you inspire me, and you console me. And just why would I say that? For a number of reasons, but one in particular. You are brave oddities in a world that has increasingly come to believe that those who study the liberal arts and sciences are eccentric curiosities who are completely out of touch with reality. And yet you do this. Now, if you doubt me, consider the following. In an age of political polarization, you have devoted yourselves to being and becoming informed and critical citizens. In an age marked by the globalization of superficiality and fascinated with the glib, an age that wrongly believes that the answers to deep and perennial questions can be summarized in sound bites or tweets, you insist on pushing out into the deep. And you are led to this courageous restlessness by your devotion to and fascination with the liberal arts, which has in turn led you to devote yourselves to mastering the art of the question so that you can seek and find wisdom in all of its rich complexity. In an atomistic age that values and canonizes rugged individualism, you stress the need for the development of the kind of civic engagement and civic virtue that lead to responsible citizenship. In an age that can be all too utilitarian, you honor creativity, and you continue to believe that the arts offer timeless insights into the human heart and affirm the transcendent value of the human soul and the human person. In an age that can all too frequently value people on the basis of wealth or to devalue people on the basis of race, you rightly insist that each person has intrinsic worth and is endowed with dignity, a dignity that must be protected and cherished. Now, since you are not exactly in sync with some of the emphases of the present age, you can be and are seen as curiosities, or far worse, as people whose work is either just eccentric or, far worse, unnecessary. I, however, would argue that the opposite is true. That is to say, I would argue that at the present time, a time of turmoil, polarization, dislocation, and the emergence of new intellectual frontiers and new ways of knowing and communicating that must be explored, you are simply indispensable, necessary. I know that that sounds like a bold statement, but I stand by it, and I stand by it without apology. You are necessary. Why do I believe that? Am I simply being contrary for the sake of being contrary? Am I simply trying to build you up on this, your graduation day? No to both questions or both suspicions. I say that you are necessary because I believe it with all my heart. And why? My friends, because at all of the great inflection moments in human history, the way forward has always been forged by people who have experienced and fallen in love with a chain reaction that leads to discoveries that are useful, transformative, delightful, and liberating. You, my friends, know and have experienced that chain reaction. It began in a sense of wonder that led you to your studies and hence to this day. It worked itself out and will always work itself out in your lives as scholars and teachers in this way. Wonder gives rise to curiosity. Curiosity gives rise to questioning. Questioning gives rise to exploration. Exploration leads to discovery. Discovery leads to testing. And testing leads to the formulation of credible propositions. For the true scholar, I'm referring to you. For the true scholar, however, those propositions always lead to new wonder, which once again leads to that curiosity, which in turn leads to questioning. In other words, you have found yourselves enthralled with the pursuit not merely of excellence, but of bothered or restless excellence. In the process, I say again, you have become and will remain forever necessary for and necessary to the human family. You make it possible for people to hope. You make it possible for people to have more meaningful lives. You make it possible for people to be bothered by injustice. I ask you this afternoon, in this glorious fall afternoon, never doubt that you are necessary. Don't doubt for a moment. Rejoice in it. Have a little academic swagger. I know that that's a little odd for me to say. Embrace your vocations as restless, bothered thinkers with all your hearts. And whenever you enter the classroom, seek to attract others to the journeys of discovery on which you find and will continue to find yourselves. Teach your students to read critically, to think analytically, to appreciate art in all its rich and enriching forms, to write with precision, elegance, and persuasive power, to speak with eloquence, to master the art of the question, to read and respond to the signs of the times, teach them how to wrestle with the great mystery of God, how to set their moral compasses so that they can be strong moral agents in the world, to engage in strong and rigorous debates, debates that require the discerning use of evidence and logic, not just sound bites, so that they can live their lives with a sense of noble purpose. And the noble purpose you want to lead your students to is this: the noble purpose of transforming the world through leadership marked by wisdom, integrity, discernment, and great passion. Always leave room for love. Teach them how to love ideas, to love the human family, to dedicate themselves to something greater than themselves. Teach them to take delight in life, their life, and the life of the whole human family. If you do all this, my friends, you will be rightly seen, hailed, and appreciated, not as eccentrics, not as curiosities, but as the greatest benefactors of the human family. For that is exactly what you will be. I admire you. I stand in awe of you. And I pray that your lives are filled with the thrill of discovery and that you are forever restless, bothered, and benefactors for the human family. Congratulations to all of you, 2020, 2021. Now go, set the whole world on fire. Please, take care.
Thank you, Father McShane. We will now recognize those students who have earned a Master of Arts or Master of Science degree. Although our university president, Father Joseph M. McShane, has already conferred the degree upon these graduates, we would like to take a moment to honor their achievement again by having them formally process across the stage.
Please come forward to be congratulated by Dean Stovall as your name is announced. We ask that you hold your applause until all of the names of master's degree recipients have been called. Haley Cook Thibault. Jessica Alvarado Acopina. Nicole Rose Rizzo. Siobhan Ann Manning. Victoria Trovato. Leah Christina Fior. Hermes Nunez. Emmanuel Hidalgo. Mariel Caraballo. Patrick R. Rizzi. Carla Victoria Dominguez Melo. Aubrey Catherine Marshall. Julia Brito. Wesley Barron. Jacqueline Lee Onedy. Marlene De La Mota. Natalie Ann Picone. Brian Patrick O'Toole. Timothy Wong. Aparajito Sen. Alexei Alexandrovich Sanko. James Ho Sheck. Kevin Call. Roji Macareo. Adam Stoller. Kendall M. Rotar. Sarah J. Malul. Phoebe Ellman. Caitlin Walsh. Kayla Mackenzie Joyce. Kevin Ballou Johns. Jason Hughes. John Morin. Erica Ferrara. Wei Pio. Michelle Lam. Ching Wu. Taylor Ha. Miriam E. Praver. Anna Augusta Wyatt Munter. Yvette Duverge. Eric Philip Marmon. Victoria A. Downey. Stephen Mendez. Frank Ababio Ajapon. Kwasi O. Ajare. George Perrin. Isabella Batista Royas. Mungareza Christine Mayende. Emily M. Gates. Kasim Mathana. Sabrina Shamika Leo. Susan Marie Manzino. Andre Der Artinian. Nicholas Thomas Catapano. John Alexander Hatcher. Sierra Shoba Baksh. Seth Yaboa. Japman Kaur Daliwal. Noor Brewster. Amelia Claypack. Victoria Ann Aversano. Michelle M. Thompson. Aliyah Karambaksh. Lisbeth Hidalgo. Gil D. Cruz. Malia Shahid. Balda Tyrone. Tishan Siakrishnan. Justin Batista. Yahaira Solonier Garcia. Frank Kwasi Antwi. Please join me in congratulating these graduates. Please be seated.
We will now recognize students who are receiving the highest academic degree, that of the Doctor of Philosophy. The doctoral hooding is a special recognition ceremony for doctoral degree candidates during which a faculty mentor places the doctoral hood over the head of the graduate, signifying her or his success in completing the degree and welcoming the candidate into the community of scholars. In the case of the Doctor of Philosophy degree, the hood's velvet border, whose traditional dark blue color represents the discipline of philosophy, is now used to represent the mastery of any discipline of learning and scholarship in which the PhD degree is awarded. The lining of the hood displays maroon, Fordham's color. The graduates' names will be called by Dr. Paul. As your name is called, please come forward to receive your diploma from me and be hooded by your mentor or another faculty member. Please hold your applause until all the names have been called.
Johnny Brennan. Carol Hinger. Elizabeth Jane Carlin. Helene Virginia Purcell. Yichen Shao. Matthew Lillo. Julia Kosaki. Michael Begun. Wei Shen. Nicholas D. Antonis. Meng Shui. Daniel Philip Svogen. Justina Maria Jerska. Caroline Holman. Sarah Duncan Park. Kara Levitch. Rafia Zafar. Please join me in congratulating all the recipients of doctoral degrees today. Please be seated.
Thank you, Professor Paul. So it is my privilege to say a few words to end this very special graduation. And a special graduation it is both for me and for you. It is my first in-person graduation at Fordham University. It is also a graduation, it's the first time I've ever been to a graduation ceremony in September. Graduations, in my experience, have been reserved for May and June generally, maybe perhaps August or December. But it is a special graduation ceremony above all because you are a special graduating class, or classes. You began Fordham University for either your master's or your doctoral study in a very different situation, in a very different condition. A time where hardly anybody had heard of Zoom meetings, let alone classes in Zoom. A time where travel was much more free and easy. A time where there were all sorts of restrictions that you did not have to deal with. And you ended your study here at Fordham in a radically different world. A world that is still to this day trying to come to grips with what it is going to be like next, what it has taken from the COVID-19 pandemic, and how it will go into the future. Now, it is traditional to say that graduates are going forth to make the future of this world. Of no classes is this more true than it is of you, because you are graduating into a world that is still in a very uncertain place. A world that probably a year from now is going to be a very different place indeed. And a world in which you are going to help make that difference in terms of how work is done, how research is done, how people work together to make a new and hopefully better world. Your impact is going to be immediate, is going to be dramatic, and is going to be most important. You have seen in your own studies what it means like to go through a period of dramatic, intense change, and my hope is you will carry the positive aspects of that into your life beyond Fordham University. That you will come back to visit here, of course, but you will also derive all the struggles that you went through, all the triumphs you experienced in coping with the COVID pandemic into your future life, into your future work, and take that as something that you inherited from your experience here at Fordham University. So you are a very special group of graduates, a very special graduating class or classes, and we will remember you for a long time in terms of your distinctive work, in terms of your triumph as scholars, in terms of you as best representatives of what it means to be a graduate of Fordham University. So, as a historian, and that is my profession, I like to study the past, but I also like to look to the future. And my hope is that you will take your past here as Fordham students into making a very bright and important future as Fordham graduates, as member of the society that will derive massive lessons from the last year and a half that you have gone through and have triumphed as graduates. So congratulations again, classes of 2020 and 2021, for all that you have done and for all that you will do after you leave this place. Congratulations, classes of 2020 and 2021. So now, when the music commences, the degree recipients will recess, and we will then follow them. Thank you again for all your time here and for your attendance at today's ceremony. Congratulations again.
you.